It's about that time.
Hello, and welcome to our post-election segment of What's Cooking with 65th State District Rep Michelle Cook. So happy to be here this morning in Franklin Square. What more could we ask for than to have a conversation with our newly re-elected state rep? We want to take this opportunity to thank the sponsor of City View's Toth Insurance Agency, located at 1151 East Main Street. Better protection, better value. Michelle.
Good morning, Jacque.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Now, I've waited for this conversation with you for weeks now.
We've attempted it a few times.
Unfortunately, some of the technical difficulties. When the technology works, it's great.
That's true.
But when it
doesn't,
yes,
it's not.
It makes life very, very difficult.
Yes, it does.
But before we get started, Michelle, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on your re-election. And it was definitely a difficult campaign in many respects. But I think that your candidate was a formidable candidate. I think Chris has a very bright future in politics. He comes from a great family. He's been serving the community for quite a while at a very young age. So I think that bodes well for us in this region in terms of how the future lies ahead for us going forward. But your experience obviously had appealed to the voters, and they chose to send you back to Hartford. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege. And, for me, when you have you've been doing this job and you recognize the needs of the community and you try to give them everything that you have and then some. It is definitely humbling to be able to go back to Hartford and to be able to represent the constituents of our community and the residents of the state of Connecticut. So I want to thank everybody for their support, and I look forward to working with everybody for the next 2 years.
Well, it's going to be a challenging 2 years. Let's be honest, Michelle.
It will.
I believe that one of the reasons why you are getting sent back to Hartford is because obviously the coronavirus is causing major issues. And I was taking a look at a previous interview that we did when we were talking about the second wave. Mm-hmm. And as much as we wanted to avoid what the ramifications of that would be, it's real now. We're here.
It is, and it's a sad reality. We were very fortunate in the first wave here in Torrington specifically, actually across the state. Our communities did not hit the chart of red. I believe about 90% of our communities in the state of Connecticut are red. As of today, and I know that this will air at a different time, we have about 800 people in the hospital. We have an ample amount of folks that are still struggling with employment. And at the same time, we see that our students are really still struggling with education and being able to maintain a consistent education inside their school building. That truly breaks my heart. I think that one of the things that I am thankful for in this second wave right now is the fact that we haven't seen the serious outbreak in our nursing homes where we saw the first critical, intense tragedies happen across the state and across the country, quite frankly. But we are here, and I would just hope that as we roll into this holiday season, that folks recognize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We have 2 companies that have a 95% success rate with their vaccination. They're hoping to have some of that rolled out. I pray that it's by the end of the year, but realistically, maybe it might not be until January. But at the end of the day, we know that will be able to at least start helping our first responders, fire, police, nurses, healthcare professionals, doctors, and the like. At the same time, I put teachers in that mix. We want to get our students to be able to get back into school. Our teachers also have to be safe, and they also have to feel safe. I think that is a delicate balance, and they're also truly passionate about what they do. So if we can start that process, hopefully we will be able to start moving forward. Speaking to our fire chief here in Torrington a day or so ago, he says, I hope that we don't have to see masks until the next fall, but if we do, and that's what we have to do to save lives, and that's what we should be doing. And I think that that's actually accurate. This is a very simple protection, and I would hope that people recognize that this is the least that we can do to be able to protect the community members. And maybe it's not us, but maybe it's the person next to us.
And let's touch upon the fact too, Michelle, that we can't be so self-absorbed that we forget or don't recognize the long-term ramifications to our healthcare workers. I mean, part of this is to help them.
Absolutely.
They get the pressure points that are built up. It burdens the system, and it drains the workers to the point where they can't effectively deliver the services that they need.
It's that, and then it's more after that. And I think that's the one thing that every time that we have done our socially distant taping, we have said very clearly, this is not about necessarily protecting you as much as it is about protecting somebody else. We might not know that we are an asymptomatic carrier, but at the end of the day, if I walk around in an area, whether, we have to go to the grocery store, we need to put gas in our car. Some of us really need to go to work, especially those folks that are in the healthcare industry. What we can do as a community member is to protect ourselves from the virus, at the same time protect our community from the virus. I want to ensure that if you were the person that was walking into a nursing home, taking care of somebody, that I haven't put you in harm's way. If you were the person that's working at our hospital or in a doctor's office, I want to ensure that I'm not putting you in harm's way. And that's really about the community give back and stopping the community spread. And at the same time, if we all did that, we would also be able to keep our schools open and ensure that our students were able to get an education not in front of a screen.
I think it's important to realize too that we can't ruin the good in spite of the perfect. I mean, it's a situation where we're still understanding what this is all about. It's a novel virus. So as we're learning, as we're collecting data, then we can deal with it a little more effectively. But I feel that in a lot of ways, when people look to the United States in terms of how we deal with situations, they look to us to set that example.
They do. And, we have often been looked up to. And at the end of the day, right now, there are other countries doing it better than us.
Right.
And I think that we cannot be so proud to say, let's not learn from somebody else. I'm a true believer that why invent the wheel? Let's just make that wheel spin better. So, if we recognize what has worked in other places, let's just do that. We recognize that this is a real virus, so we can kind of blow and flush that right out the window. This is real. People are dying from this real virus. It is a real virus that takes hold of individual people in a different way. It is something that is more highly contagious than we have seen most any other virus possibly in our lifetime. And I hope we don't ever have to see it again in my children's lifetime and then their children's lifetime. But I do think that what we should learn, it is truly about what we can do to change as a community.
There are those assessments, though, Michelle, that say that this could be the type of virus that has a reiteration every 6 months when the climate changes. So if that turns out to be a pattern, how do you fight that from a government perspective, from a legislative perspective?
This goes down to self-discipline and self-responsibility. I don't want to be the person that's jumping into your kitchen table and telling you that you can't visit your family members. But that doesn't have to happen if we can all be socially distant and responsible. If I am willing to put on a mask and I'm willing to, maybe not go inside the restaurant every night, but take out once, and try to offset those things. That's part of this conversation. We need to keep our businesses open. It is a must. We recognize that, the revitalization of downtowns are so important for our communities. But if we don't have a healthy community that can keep those businesses open, we're defeating our purpose. We can legislate a whole lot of things. I know our governor has said the one thing he doesn't want to do is close schools, but he's also given some, responsibility to the local leadership to, so your superintendents and the boards of education to say what's best for your community, because we also recognize that not every community is exactly the same. We are in a situation where we're under an executive order, and that's a financial reason, quite frankly, for us to be able to access dollars and cents from the federal government. I think that's vitally important for people to really understand. And at the same time, we at the state legislature are also adhering to the same exact things that we're asking everybody else to do. We closed the state capitol in March. I believe it's March 13th, quite frankly, to where we have not been back in full-blown session except for twice, and we have done socially distant things to where we were able to vote from our office and not put 150 plus people into the well of the House. We have a session starting in January, and as we are asking everybody else to be socially distant, we are doing the exact same thing for ourselves. That becomes complicated when we are looking at a legislative body that is a building and a process for the people, by the people, of the people. How do we do that so all voices could be heard? Do we have to legislate at a different type of school year? Do we have to legislate different business hours? I would really hope that we don't have to do that we can work together to do that. The things that are going to fall back on us, though, how do we get a vaccination out in a timely manner, in an efficient, safe manner, to where those people that need what they need get it first, and then we work down accordingly. That'll be pretty much a lot of our charge. At the same time, it's going to be funding.
Now, Michelle, among your other challenges, you've been very involved with meeting the challenge of feeding the hungry during this pandemic. Talk to our audience a little bit about your efforts in that and how you see your challenges going forward.
Back in May, after the initial angst really came upon us, and we understood this is serious. We also recognized that so many people were out of work that what we ended up doing was, with the infinite wisdom of Karen Thomas down at Friendly Hands Food Bank, she started applying for a farm-to-table, friends-to-family type of a grant from the federal government that really partnered with our local, state, and national farmers to be able to ensure that they also were not being harmed as well. So what we were doing were weekly produce drops. We would rotate those. We would have a few across the street at the library parking lot. We had them at the middle school. We had them up at Doyle's. I can't thank all of our volunteers enough. In the meantime, I was CERT certified, the Community Emergency Response Team, to be able to help in a way that the community was protected, and then helped generate some other folks to be CERT certified. But every week we ensured that folks had boxes in their hand. And then recognizing too that our seniors who are in our housing complexes couldn't get out. They were afraid to go. And that makes complete sense. They were a population that we knew was going to be harmed in the most catastrophic way. We started delivering to them. So I would put 50 boxes of produce in my car with a few volunteers. I had Ed Corey and I had Travis, my daughter and my son and my husband, depending on who was home at the time. And, we would deliver to all of our senior housing complexes in town. We were, blessed enough a few times to be able to drop produce off to some of our nursing homes for the staff to be able to take home as they left. We did that at our hospital as well, because even though we were not necessarily at that age that we couldn't get out of the house, when you talk about our first responders, our caregivers, they were working a ton of hours, and they still are. And that puts an undue burden and stress on them as well. So it was such an honor to be able to meet so many people in a manner of which we might not have been able to meet with them, meeting new friends, and to be able to put food on their table. we recognize that there's been a low in the last few weeks because the grant had altered, but I believe I got a text message yesterday that I'll be able to get, some boxes over the next upcoming weeks, and I'll be able to go back and deliver again. It's important. And with the pressures of not having employment, but still being able to put food on your table for your family members, especially the fact that it's produce, that's important. And it's been a great opportunity. And all of my volunteerism got me on the advisory board of Friendly Hands Food Bank. So it's been a pleasure working with those folks as well and seeing the great work that they're doing down there on King Street.
Well, Michelle, I know you have an appointment in Hartford that you have to attend to. On a beautiful day like this, I could go on talking to you forever and a day. However, I know you got other responsibilities to attend to. But as always, we want to thank you for taking the time out to speak to our audience and sharing with them your insights and your passion for what you do and your love for the community that you serve.
Thank you. And if I can just do a brief plug for actually why I'm heading into Hartford. I'm on the governor's task force for nursing homes. As you know, I called for a statewide oversight of nursing homes back in April. We have done that. Mathematica has returned with their report. We have a group that is meeting every Thursday until the second week of January at 10 o'clock. That is streamed live on CTN. And then I am chairing the subcommittee on staffing levels, which is meeting every Monday at 3, which is also on CTN. My reason for bringing this up is so vitally important to our community and the residents of the state of Connecticut. We know we had significant loss of loved ones. If you have a story that you would like to share with this working group to help us make a difference, because I look at this working group as not the fix of what COVID has done to us, but a long-term fix on what COVID has taught us and what we need to do to improve our elderly care system in the entire state of Connecticut. And not just because of this, but a huge overhaul of how we do business. So I'm asking if anybody has a story that they would be willing to share of a loved one, family, friend, neighbor, or the like, please send it over to my email. It is michelle.cook@cga.ct.gov. The only way that I can do my job effectively is by representing your stories effectively. So together we can make this a better place.
Now, see, I love to kind of brag a little bit, Michelle, because I often tell people that have conversations that you come up that I remember you when. And I knew that you had a heart for service then, and that has not changed one bit over your tenure in office. And it makes me proud to not only be your friend, but also to be able to have this opportunity to share your views with the citizens and your constituents here in Torrington and the region. So once again, congratulations on your re-election, and we look forward to see what's cooking next week.
Absolutely. Turkey next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, 65th State Rep Michelle Cook here in beautiful Franklin Square. You guys stay tuned. We got more good stuff coming at you right here on City View.
Ha ha!
City Views.